I've had this car, which is an XK 140 Jaguar. It's got the MC racing engine. I've had it since the early 60s. It was a daily driver for 21 years. And then I kind of put it away, and it got all rusty and dirty, and raccoons ate it. And I've just had it restored.
Well, it's beautiful. About how long did the restoration take?
They picked it up in September of 2007. Between all the work they had to do on the car and financial situations that developed, it took a little long.
Yeah.
But I've had it now for a couple months.
Well, it's really beautiful. What are some of the unique features of this car?
Well, the car was a very high horsepower engine for its time. Mm-hmm. This car would go 140 miles an hour, is why it's called the XK 140.
Yeah.
I've had it up to 120 on track, but I've never had it above that. When I had the car restored, I made some modifications. I put disc brakes on the front. I put a big radio on it because they always overheated. So I eliminated that problem, and I've taken most of the Lucas electronics out of the car. And it's just a wonderful driver. It's a daily driver. Although I've got so much money into it, I don't do that.
Well, it's really beautiful. Thank you so much for sharing it with us. Well, I am here with Don Nichols. Don, can you please tell us a little bit about your absolutely beautiful car?
I'd be happy to. The car was bought by Andrew Mellon for his daughter Ailsa. She wrote him a letter and said, "I don't like taxis, how about buy me a car?" So he ordered this one built for her in Paris, France. And he became Secretary of the Treasury in Washington in '28. And so she was his social hostess in Washington, and the car spent the time from 28 to the early 30s in Washington. The car was used in the family stable. They had several cars. And when the chauffeur retired in the 30s, the family gave him the car to drive to Florida. And he drove to Sarasota, Florida, and rented a small apartment and a garage on an alley. And that's where the car stayed while he was alive. And when he died, there was no rent on the garage, so the owner shoved it out into the alley, and it sat there for years until a friend of mine called up one night and said, "There's a total wreck of a car, but it's a big old thing, and next time you're down, let's take a look at it." So I went down, checked it out, found out who it belonged to, got a hold of the lawyer that was working his estate, and bought it. And then I went home and found out what it was, and that scared me half to death.
Why? What was it that you found out?
I found out that it's a very big, expensive car for which there are no parts anywhere in the world. So I went into my garage, and I was still working, raising a family, and it sat in the garage covered up because I really didn't want to have to look at it. And when I retired, my kids got to bothering me. They said, either work on it or sell it. It ought to be on the road. So rather than sell it, I started working on it, and it took 8 years, and I finished the car up. This is the first show it's been at.
Oh wow! So it's just a recent finish on the renovation. So you said it was very hard to find parts. What kind of loops did you have to jump through to find some of the parts?
Two things that happened from France. I had engine parts that I couldn't find, and everything is very complex on the car, on the engine. And I tried to get them machined, couldn't find anybody to machine them. I found a man in France that had the set of the parts I needed. He didn't want to sell them because he said there are no more. I worked for a long time and finally persuaded him to sell them to me. I got the car going. And the rest of the parts, I've gotten very well acquainted with an excellent machinist.
Well, yeah, I guess if you can't find the parts, you got to make them, right? So
the only choice.
Yeah. Well, this is. Can we give us a little bit of a tour of the car? I know there are lots of little details and everything. I'd love to know what they all are for.
Okay. This is a tool trunk. You weren't supposed to need tools, but just in case. And the car was built for Ailsa Mellon, and her husband was the ambassador to France shortly after they got married, and he hated to get up early in the morning. So when they had the car built, she called for the car to have a seat and a table so that they could have the secretary who lived outside of Paris in the chateau with them could get in the car, and that way on the hour-and-a-half drive into the embassy in Paris, he was at work. So he didn't have to get up early. When he got into the car, he was at the office.
Okay.
And when he got home, got out of the car, it was the end of his office day. So he was not at the embassy very long each day. So that was the reason for the car construction the way it is.
So the driver's area up here is very cool. I noticed the steering wheel is on the opposite side of what we would typically find here in America.
That was standard in Europe at that time.
Right, as it is still in parts of Europe today. So
still in England. I think everyone else has converted. The levers, the one on the right is the gear shift, the one on the left is a parking brake, and then down right in front of the seat there's another lever. That lever controls the headlights. Instead of having a headlight dimmer, they tilt the headlights down or up to get the angle of light that you want on the road.
Oh, that's interesting. Yeah. All right, and I do see that you are channeling the previous owner's spirit by dressing up as a chauffeur here. So if you wouldn't mind, I think I will love to see inside your car. Wow, so
we'll need to fold that down.
This goes down. Why, thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. It's time for me to go off and go to my own social engagement here in this beautiful car. Thanks so much for joining us today at Trump National for the Concours d'Elegance. You can find more information about this show and next year's at pvconcours.com. Thanks so much. This is Jessica MacKay on Community Connection.